Alrighty, so it's not every day that I do a News of the Week episode on a Monday, but that's exactly what I'm doing today as we're now in the second of this mini 2-day break in the World Cup before the semi-final. And it's hard to believe that after Sunday World Cup final that is going to happen, we're not going to have any World Cup games for another 4 years. And you know I'm very excited about the next World Cup edition, especially. I'm definitely going to have plans to attend a couple of games in the next World Cup being here. But speaking of the World Cup, that kind of perfectly transitioned what we're going to talk about in the first point in the News of the Week episode. And that, of course, is the Gio Reyna saga. Now, we knew the Gio Reyna saga was a big talking point. You know, we've been having many speculation of why exactly Gio Reyna was getting so low minutes for the U.S. men's national team in the World Cup from either he's being injured or the speculation that I think a lot of people buy into with the way that he and Greg Berhalter didn't really see eye to eye, and that there was definitely some clash between both of them, and therefore Greg Berhalter basically kind of almost decided to bench him and not play him in those games. Now, obviously, after the World Cup, there was still that discussion of why exactly Gio Reyna didn't get a lot of minutes, and kind of carried to what I said about that speculation of both him and Greg Berhalter kind of clash with each other. Well, today it seems like Gio Reyna decided to release a statement on his Instagram page, and it's mostly kind of an apologetic kind of statement, saying that he do apologize to the fans and also to the players and also even the coaching staff of the behavior that he's been acting, because there's definitely also the speculation of the fact that Gio Reyna had a very egoistic kind of view where he was kind of being kind of arrogant at some point, and also just decided to not really put in the work during trainings, and even teammates did not like the attitude that he was showing while he was training for the U.S. men's national team before the World Cup and even after the World Cup. But then he also said during this statement that, Greg Berhalter seems to have told him that he was not going to be involved too many parts in this World Cup for this national team during an event, and it was not kind of in-house. Now, obviously, I think when you look at this situation, and there's been a lot of opinion about it. I mean, some of the biggest sports heads in the media have had their say in terms of this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you will have some different say in the comment section below, which is why feel free in terms of leave a comment below in terms of what you think about this situation. But the way I look at it, I feel like what Greg Berhalter did to Gio Reyna with him just kind of decided to kind of said that he wasn't going to be part of this team, not in an in-house discussion, was maybe kind of a little bit out of line, and that I can understand why Gio Reyna was very upset about that. Like, when you're a 20-year-old kid and you get your first shot of playing in the World Cup, you would be really upset if your manager basically said, yeah, I don't believe you, I don't think you have a lot of part play in this World Cup. But that being said, I will say this with Gio Reyna, the attitude that he kind of did, and the way that he also discussed the fact that he wasn't really training hard, and he was kind of took that as an insult, and that's why he wasn't putting in the work. I don't think that was a good response. I mean, I understand, yes, he's frustrated that his manager probably didn't believe in him and thinks he's good enough, but this is where you need to kind of just maybe prove your manager wrong, and maybe work harder in terms of trying to prove that he deserved to get a spot. I mean, there's a reason why we have seen so many stories of players maybe aren't really kind of the favorites for the manager to pick in the starting 11, but eventually they worked hard in training and maybe have played very well in their limited minutes, that the manager may just change his mind and decided to play in there. And I think that kind of is the case that Gio Reyna probably should have took this in the consideration, instead of just simply say, oh, well, the manager don't believe me, I'm very pissed off that, so I'm not even going to give 100% effort. But I will say that I think he did a good job in terms of at least apologizing, even though I know some might even criticize, saying that the way that he said it doesn't sound like it's a fully apologies. I mean, what did you expect? Like this is something that I'm pretty sure when he wrote this statement, that he probably have a PR managers that tell him that, yeah, you got to make sure you get this right so you can smooth out this controversy that is going on. And again, I think he did a good job in the most part of this apologies that he sent to the rest of the team. And that, yeah, I think in the end, I think as much as this is a hotly talk topic, I think in about a couple of months we probably won't see this be talked about a lot. And especially, I think Gio Reyna is going to definitely use this as a way to learn that, hey, maybe I need to think about, just instead of maybe reacting negative toward this, I need to just kind of work extra hard and just trying to prove Greg Berhalter that I do belong to be getting more minutes for this team. And if you do that, then yeah, I truly believe that then there is definitely a sense that he probably could have got minutes. But from what I heard at least from with the way that he was giving a lack of effort, I mean, it's no wonder why he wasn't getting a lot of minutes, and also no wonder why his teammates have even told him repeatedly that he needs to keep playing hard, because there was even speculation that they were really close of sending Gio Reyna home because of the problem and the attitude that he was getting in. But like I said, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this? Who do you think is in the right in this situation, or is anybody in the right of this situation? But now moving on in terms of some of these news involving MLS. So we have a big news that came out of the Colorado Rapids, where they have decided to move on from their striker Jerzy Zardes. Well, they already left him out when they made the end of season roster move, which was kind of a little surprise, because I thought that with how, I don't think Zardes had a bad season for the Rapids, but I can understand maybe they feel like he didn't do enough to maybe get another year. And Austin FC said, oh, thank you very much, we're just going to claim him off of free agency. And that's exactly what they did. And I think this is a good move for Austin FC, because we know that this team has a lot of weapons going for on the attack, but one position that I think they definitely might need to upgrade to really continue to be just such a lethal force on the attack has to be that number 9 position. Because for a while, there's been that question of that number 9 position. I mean, I thought last year, while Maxi Urruti kind of did well in that number 9 position for a bit, his production kind of start to drop off, and that's not a big surprise, because Maxi Urruti, I think last season was probably one of his best season in his career, and that you just knew that those numbers that he would put up, especially in the beginning of the season, was not going to last. And he's always kind of a guy that kind of started hot, but then as the season goes along, that's when he started to hit a wall. And then the other option is Moussa Djite, who I think he could be a good option in terms of coming off the bench because of his speed. But if he's gonna maybe play regular minutes or be a regular starter, I don't think that he is effective enough to be that guy that can score those goals for Austin. So yeah, bring Jerzy Zardes, a guy that still has it, and a guy that can still score a lot of goals, and now especially on a good attack. I think this is a big move for the Colorado Rapids. Now, the Rapids have decided to replace Jerzy Zardes, and they decided to acquire Kevin Cabral from the LA Galaxy for up to $1 million general allocation money in exchange, and some sell-on fees. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people say that the Rapids are probably got completely fleeced in terms of this deal, because we know Kevin Cabral last season, I've talked about many times how he is probably one of the most cursed number 9 in the league, a guy that just cannot buy a goal for most part of the season. We've seen this before, where whenever a player's kind of struggle, they maybe need to have a change of scenery. I mean, we kind of saw that with Jerzy Zardes when he was with the Galaxy. He kind of need some change of scenery, and look what happened. He did very well with the Columbus Crew. Now, I'm not saying that could happen again with Cabral going to the Rapids. And again, I can understand why a lot of Galaxy fans are not only relieved, but also a lot of people are saying that the Rapids are fleas because of how bad Cabral was with the Galaxy, and that is a huge price that the Rapids had to pay, especially give him as a DP kind of player, and that the Rapids have never been a team that has had a great designated player in their roster, pretty much in their entire franchise history. So yeah, I can see why this maybe could be a bad deal for the Rapids, but like I said, for Kevin Cabral, I just think that when you're a player that has just been ridiculed by your team by by uh, by so many times last season, which rightfully so because he had some really bad moments. Sometimes you just need a change of scenery, and we'll see whether this change of scenery, of course, will help him, and whether if he can figure out his problem in terms of finishing. Because what he has done throughout his young career is that he's done very well in terms of the build up and even on the final third, but it's just that finishing quality that is missing. And when you're a number 9 and you can't finish, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of sticks from your supporters, and we'll see whether that's going to change now that he's with the Rapids. Now, Minnesota United have signed a couple of defender this past week. First, they signed defender Zarek Valentin off of free agency, and then they today just claim Danielle Henry off of waivers. Now, I understand that some Loons fans might not be happy about this because once again, the goal of this team should be getting themselves younger and the back line. And I do agree. I think when you look at this back lines for the Loons, I don't like the fact that the front office are not thinking about maybe bringing fresher blood into it, or at least not fresher blood, but more young player on that. I think that the way that I said it in my last statement was kind of a little bit gruesome. But yeah, they need some young guys in that back line, knowing the fact that both Boxall and Dibasi are both approaching their mid-30s. But in terms of depth, I think this is pretty good for Minnesota, and that getting Zarek Valentin, I know he really struggled doing his time with the Houston Dynamo, but again, he's a good depth piece that I think the Loons have picked up. And the same goes with Danielle Henry. Again, he kind of struggle doing his time with TFC, but as a depth piece, I have no problem with that. And especially, I heard that both of these guys have been very good locker room present. I think that's a very underrated aspect of the fact that I know everybody focus on the way how the players play, but don't forget, if you can bring a guy that can be a good locker room present, can be a leader in that locker room that we've seen with Zarek Valentin and Danielle Henry, I think that could be good for this team. And that yeah, overall I do like the signing, especially improving the depth in the back line, which was a huge problem for this team last season, and probably one of the big downfall of them. At least finish in a position where they could have had a home game if they actually had some depth in the defense after Dibasi went down with that season-ending injury. Now, speaking of Toronto FC, they have finally signed Jonathan Osorio to a long-term contract. So it seems like this discussion has now finally come to an end. Where is Osorio was going to go to Europe, or is he going to stay with his boyhood club TFC and become a club legend there? Well, it seems like that, of course, is the case because, he, of course, signed with a long-term contract. And I don't blame Jonathan Osorio for that, because as much as I know he always had that dream of potentially playing in Europe, I think him staying with TFC is definitely a good move. And especially with the way that, he's kind of one of those players that, we talk about when you're, of course, need to break in a national team, you need to, of course, regularly play in Europe. I don't think that is the case for Jonathan Osorio. I mean, he's already been a regular for this Canadian national team, and that I think him staying with TFC is definitely a good thing. And especially, if you're going to continue to build a legendary status of your club, yeah, that's going to, of course, help. And I won't be surprised that when eventually he does decide to hang up his boots, TFC has to build a Jonathan Osorio statue outside of BMO Field, because this guy he's pretty much Mr. TFC ever since day one when this club came into the league. Actually, I don't think it was that there he was. I actually don't think he was there when they came into the league in 2007. But he's definitely the longest serving TFC player that still play with the club right now. Now, speaking of midfield, the San Jose Earthquakes have decided to sign midfielder Judson to a new contract. I think this is a good move for the Quakes, and that I know, yes, Judson definitely had a bit of a down year, but I have no doubt that he can definitely recover after his down year, because he's been an influential player in that midfield, has been an absolute rock in that number 6 position. And like I said, yes, last year he definitely took a bit of a step back, but there's no doubt I think he could bounce back this season. And also with the way that I think it's only like a 1-year contract, I think this is just a sense that they feel they trust that he can, of course, bounce back. And if he doesn't bounce back, then there's a chance where they maybe not renew him to another contract. So I think that's a smart move for the Quakes, especially with the way that Judson has been such a great player in that number 6 position since he came into the club. It's just that let's hope we don't see him playing out of the position before, because we saw a couple of times last season he decided to do that, and I think it's no wonder why his production level really dropped last season with him playing out of position. Now, NYCFC have decided that they're going to loan Nicolas Acevedo to Brazilian club Bahia with an option to buy. Now, I know some NYCFC fans weren't happy with seeing Acevedo decide to leave the club, and some might have said it's a good thing for them. I think I will agree with the latter, the fact that, Acevedo, he was kind of a little underwhelming during his time with NYCFC. I mean, when he was bought with the club, a lot of people thinking that, yeah, he's going to be one of those next best thing, that NYCFC going to develop him to be a good player. Eventually sold him off to Europe for a big sum of money, and yeah, it just kind of really never work out. And we'll see with him now going to Brazilian club here, whether or not if he has the chances to, of course, prove himself that he still could be a decent player, and especially with the way that there is also an option to buy, NYCFC can still get some profit out of this if Bahia feels like he is worthy enough to get a permanent transfer. Now, DC United is in advanced talk for Leeds United midfielder, and I believe it's Matsud Kalic. I think that's how you pronounce it. I probably pronounce his first name completely wrong there, because again, this is just how it is whenever I had to kind of pronounce names that are not really that easy to pronounce. But I heard that he's definitely a good player for Leeds. I'm not sure if he's a regular starter for the team. I mean, I probably should know, because I should be paying Leeds United more attention this year because of the way that Jesse Marsch is coaching the team, and Leeds United are kind of like the MLS the representative in the Premier League. But yeah, for DC, it's great to see that they are definitely trying, and the fact that they are definitely making an attempt to improve their team, because the pressure is definitely on this front office, and especially with the way that they've been getting a lot of criticism throughout this last years or so, and that with them maybe improving the team, maybe they'll improve their luck of what it has just been poor for them in the last couple of season. And also, I think this is also an example of that fact that, yes, time will tell whether or not if Wayne Rooney can actually get this team back to being a competitive team, but at least he's doing a good job in terms of recruiting good players, especially from the Premier League, to come to his team, and for them to trying to build themselves back to being a team that could be a playoff contender as soon as next year. Now, FC Dallas is report to sign Brazilian right back Jovino Jesus from Cruzeiro. Now, this is clearly maybe a signing for them to upgrade that fullback position, because their current fullback, I think, is Tomasi. There's been some Dallas fans who are saying that he probably isn't a MLS quality right back there. I mean, he's decent, but definitely not at a level where he could maybe be a regular starter week in and week out. So it seems like they decided to go to the transfer market again, and that they're getting a guy that he's still relatively young, I think only 22 years old, and this is another example of maybe a team decide to go down to South America, find some hidden gems, and basically develop them in a way where they can sell them off for a profit. But we'll see whether or not this deal is going to be done, because I have heard some good things that he could be a decent player for this team, and that especially with FC Dallas, it's good to see, at least for this last year, they finally have got it right in terms of recruiting players that are not from their academy. And we'll see whether if this deal does eventually go through, whether or not if he's going to be a decent player. And I would expect maybe could be a regular starter in that right back position for this FC Dallas team. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of the news of the week. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of all of these news, and if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.